Welcome back to Mets'd Up, presented by Fox 1. Well, the rumor mill is hot. Tarik Skubal apparently might be on the market. The Tigers and Skubal are $250 million away in a contract extension, which that is an alert to everybody in the world that's ever watched baseball. He's not coming back. He's leaving Detroit. That is such an unbelievable amount of distance. It's honestly disrespectful to Tarik Skubal. I know he's a Boris client. He's asking for a lot, but that's probably irreparable damage when you are $250 million apart with a star player who is by far one of the, if not the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. And the Mets are heavily linked. So me and James are going to talk about possible trade scenarios for Tarik Skubal to come to the New York Mets, what a contract extension would possibly look like if he ever does sign one, because he is a Boris client still at the end of the day. And honestly, just a little fun baseball talk for you, because we haven't had a real good rumor like this in quite some time. But James, I know you're chomping at the bit to get going on this one. Can't wait.
I'm excited just because we've been talking about the fact that, like, ad nauseum, how much the Mets need an ace pitcher. If the Mets actually need an ace pitcher, we did that one recently. Who are real ace pitchers? This is the one that is, even though it's almost 99.9% chance, a 1-year commitment for Tarik Skubal. You definitely still pull the trigger on something like this, and something we're going to talk about a lot in this video because it's a guaranteed 1 year for Tarik Skubal. I don't think that this trade would cost as much as some people might think. I think you might, especially if any Tigers fan, if it's finding your guys' feed, you might be very disappointed and underwhelmed if this trade eventually goes off. Similar to the Brewers with Corbin Burns. Very similar situation right now.
Yeah, now that being said, there's pretty much nothing, in my opinion, in the Mets system right now that is untouchable. I think Noel McLean's the only guy that we would say, no, we're not going to move him. But I think Tong, Jet Williams, maybe you don't even have to move Carson Bench probably at this point even. He might be too much.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think McLean is anywhere close to being on the table. If
No.
McLean is like deep away, like in the basement, the table's in the kitchen. He's not even close to being on the table. Bench is like 2 rooms away. There's like basically no way he's on the table unless there's a chaotic bidding war. But I think something basically like Jonathan and someone else, or Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. I think that those are like the 2 avenues to go down to headline this trade. Elizabeth Ben had a great trade proposal actually in SNY a few days ago, and it was a Jet Williams, Brandon Sproat, Ryan Clifford, Nick Morabito package. And I even think that would be, again, it's a weird thing to explain because the way that these trades work is not just about the skill of the player. And we've known that, seeing this over the years. And that seems ridiculous to say out loud, that you can get a Tarik Skubal caliber player, Tarik Skubal himself, or Brandon Sproat, who's probably a mid-rotation guy, Jet Williams, who's like an infielder with a fairly cap ceiling, and then Ryan Clifford, who again has his limitations, and Nick Morabito, who's just a 40-man roster defensive specialist. But for a 1-year deal, that's it's in the range of what it would take. Again, especially thinking back to the Corbin Burns deal for DL Hall and Joey Ortiz.
DL Hall is a reliever now, and Joey Ortiz
Joey
Ortiz can only play defensively. He can't hit unless he plays against the New York Mets. So, like, that haul back, pretty horrible for the Brewers in retrospect when you look back on it. I expect the Tigers are going to want still a little bit more than what the Brewers got back. We know these organizations do work differently. While there is that still big difference in these two, maybe this is also Scott Boras being in John Heyman's pocket again, and getting the right word out, because we do know that sometimes these rumors are perpetrated by or perpetuated. That's a better word. Perpetrated has to do with criminals. Perpetuated by Scott Boras. He's the best in the business. He's going to make sure his guys get paid, go where he wants, go where they get that money. And Detroit has spent money in the past, but being that far away does feel difficult. And I would assume a package of, like, this might even be overkill at this point, but Tong and Jet Williams, surely the Tigers would send them off tomorrow or as soon as they possibly could.
I think that would become the package if you had another serious package to beat. Like if the Dodgers start putting up their top prospect.
That's the scariest part.
If they throw in Jake Josue to Paula, like, then you have to beat something because that's a better asset than you have.
And we might not. Like, they might be like Josue, because they're so loaded and they're going to spend money. And they're like, we're getting Tarik Skubal. We just won the World Series. We're going to bring this guy in. Like, they might not care.
I also wonder about where some of these like rumors are coming from. Like you talk about, of course, everyone knows the Heyman Boras situation, but this really originated in a great piece by Will Salmon on The Athletic.
Yes.
And the way that he described it, just reading exactly from the article, Skubal's entering his walk year after producing a 2.30 ERA in 62 starts of the last 2 seasons. The New York Post, John Heyman, reported that Tigers and Skubal, Scott Boras' client, were more than $200 million apart in contract talks last year. So that, to me, feels like that they asked for 500 and they the Tigers sit back 300. Because I think when you look at pitcher contracts around the league right now, players who are similar to Skubal, if you can say anybody is similar to Tarik Skubal, you wind up in the $300 million range. That Garrett Cole, $324 million, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, $325 million, different years, different ages, but that's where you get. But then,
and then the other interesting thing too with those guys is that both of them signed relatively young-ish compared to some of these other pitchers where their contracts at. Because like Wheeler's on $42 million a year right now, but he signed that at age 33. DeGrom was 34 years old. He signed for $37 million a year. Skubal's in that kind of sweet spot right now where he's still got a good 10 years in front of him, especially as a left-handed pitcher, the way that he's been throwing. He's got a good 10 years as long as he stays healthy. And he is the best pitcher in baseball, 1A to Paul Skeens 1B, whatever you want to say. They're both the number one guys.
No, easily. And I also think that a lot of comparisons now are being made back to the Garrett Crochet situation from last offseason, where it was a big prospect haul to get him, and then he was signed to a somewhat favorable extension immediately. It felt like that was not a sign and trade, as we say in the NBA, but the trade and sign, where you knew the extension was happening. But I think an important distinction, especially for Crochet, is that he had very little leverage to go into free agency. Like Garrett Crochet last year, when there were trade rumors from him away from the White Sox in the second half, he was that soft demanding a contract extension to even pitch in the playoffs and extend his workload just because of how little he pitched, how many injuries he'd been through. And then again, when you make this trade, you know it's going to happen because with Crochet, how few innings he had, it would have been strange. Like if he had gotten hurt this season, of course, he didn't, how it all worked out. He probably only would have been able to get a 2 or 3 year deal max. Tarik Skubal can do like a Michael Parsons, Jamar Chase, take the year off and still get 10 years for like $40 million a year. He's that good. He's the man right now. And also there's, just because the Tigers, it feels a little bit reminiscent of the Max Scherzer situation.
Yeah.
Where when Scherzer hit free agency, he didn't have that many great seasons. Like he had a few very good seasons, but he was still kind of growing into himself. And this felt like with Skubal, the major injuries that he's been through, Scherzer was more inconsistency. Skubal with injuries where...
I mean, it's almost exactly like Scherzer, because Scherzer won the Cy Young in 2013. 2014 was his last year with the Tigers, finished 5th in the Cy Young. Now, Skubal's going to win back-to-back Cy Youngs. He's going to win the American League Cy Young, and he won it last year too. So it's not really one-to-one, but the idea is similar, and the age is similar too. Scherzer's last year was his 29-year-old age.
And again, it's important to keep the injury stuff like kind of front of mind when talking about Tarik Skubal. No player in Major League Baseball is risk-free. Again, as we said at the top, I willingly give almost any prospect in our system, and then after that happens, because it will be an after, we'll talk about that context later on, I'd give him a fat deal too, $40 million for 10 years, because he's that good. But Tarik Skubal had missed 2 full years with Tommy John surgery, 2016, 2017. And then he had a pretty scary flexor tendon injury in the same left arm where he missed. That was 2 years ago because he came back in the middle of the season 3 years ago. Yes. And that one took him a long time to come back from. He talked a lot about the fact that he kind of had like 4 or 5 off seasons in a row where he struggled to keep up a training regimen through the winter. And then he kind of felt like he was rehabbing the whole time. And then once he had that first healthy off season, he returned in August. That was 2023. That was when he went. That was when he boomed. And he put on weight. He hit the gym. That's when he started throwing 100 miles an hour. And that's when he figured out the change. Like, that's when everything kind of skyrocketed. And we love that. We love that late bloomer stuff with pitchers. Like, that's always kind of feels like that's when things are working out. But he really is that good.
He's so good. We've talked about like Stearns and Cohen and just like how business is done on the Mets in general. And we've said that Stearns is never going to do something crazy unless it's for that guy. And there simply is no other guy besides Paul Skeens that will be able to have the impact that you have on the mound, like Tarik Skubal right now, that could ever be available. Like Skeens isn't available. Skubal is the guy. This is the one where you've been building up the farm system. You have the prospects. You have the pieces. While theoretically it could be an overpay, right? Because what if Tarik Skubal comes here and says, I'm not signing the extension? That's what everyone's always terrified about. But
I think he's guaranteed not. I think that's a big thing that we have to get over, like mentally, as these rumors are going to start to fly over the next few months, that there's no chance of Tarik Skubal signing an extension. I think unless you put $500 million in front of him, he's not signing an extension. There's no way. And then
I will say I think there's a world where if the Mets, let's just pretend the Mets
12 for 460.
Yeah, or I honestly even think 10 for 400 probably gets the deal done. I think at that point, like, it would be tough, I think, for Tarik Skubal to turn it down. We'd really be testing Scott Boras as an agent, giving him that one, because he would be the highest paid pitcher of all time. AAV-wise, he'd be in the top, like, 5 or 6, I think, all time, or at least top 10. I think that's a hard one to say no to, especially if Boras is looking for that chip of, like, I got the highest paid pitcher. This is my guy. So that's a possibility. But like you said, more likely than not, he's not going to sign an extension until he hits free agency. this is where you push in those pieces. Like, who cares if it's an overpay? This is a game changer. You get a healthy Tarik Skubal on this New York Mets roster. They're one of the best teams in the National League again, without a doubt.
If I told you guaranteed no extension and you have less than a 50-50 chance to sign him in free agency, do you still feel that way about dumping the huge prospect capital?
Do we have the highest chance of any team, but it's less than 50-50?
Plurality. We don't know. There's 4 teams involved.
Okay, so
It's
everyone's...
It's us, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Yankees, and there's competing offers. So you have about 25%
Yeah, I take the chance.
shot.
I take the chance. I take the chance 100%. And if those prospects are Tong and Jet Williams, like that's what we're talking about, right? We're not doing something crazy like Benj.
What if it took that?
I'd be a little more skeptical if it was Benj. If it's Jet and Tong, I'll drive them to Detroit. I'll shake their hands and say thank you for your service. And Tarik Skubal will get on that private jet.
Let's take you through the Arena Club Slab Pack experience. This is part 2 because Todd Father last week pulled a card that he didn't love, yet he sold it back for actually more than what the slab pack cost. This time, pulls a card that he likes.
Yeah, and this is the best part of it. Ronnie Mauricio, the Mets standout, rookie sensation. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I like the itch of seeing what you're going to get. I like prospects. I don't love them, but seeing this kind of card is actually absolutely beautiful thing. I know a couple people around town that would absolutely love that card. So there's going to be a lot of conversations going on here for Arena Club.
And what you do is you have it in your digital showroom. If you want to hand it out locally, then cool. You ask Arena Club to send it to you, and they do, or you can sell it back like you see there. Instant offer for $193, but he's keeping it. And you can do what Todd Father does by going to arenaclub.com/foul and getting 20% off your first card purchase or your first slab pack purchase.
It's funny to look at pitcher contracts in the league and see like the massive disparity, because it seems like teams kind of agree there's basically a ceiling of how much money they want to give a pitcher.
Yeah.
Like it's Yamamoto and Gerrit Cole, like we told you guys at the top, 325 and 324 million. Whenever you see a contract difference at the top with this $1 million difference, it's pretty intentional. Like if you guys look back at the Francisco Lindor extension from 2021, you're like, why is Francisco Lindor such a weird number at the end of his contract? Because he had to make $1 million more than Fernando Tatis with the total value of his contract, who signed out of nowhere like a month before it happened and held up that whole thing. But Yamamoto, Cole, 325, 324. Then the next highest pitcher contract by total value in the league is Max Fried at $280
Which is
million.
crazy, by the way.
That's over $100 million gap between the second highest paid guy and the third highest paid guy. Coincidentally, both are on the same team. But the Cole extension is the exact one to look at here. It's perfect because it wasn't signed very long ago. He was 29 years old. Skubal will be 29 years old when this happens. He's 28 now still, correct? Almost positive.
Skubal is right now.
Yeah, he's 28 now. He's 28
Yeah, he's
now.
28, but it's his 29-year-old season. He said he's 29 on the 20th of November.
And then again, 9 for 324, $36 million a year. If you bump him to 40, $42 million a year, and you probably give him a 10th year, I think that's just signed, sealed, and delivered. Then the question is, are other teams giving him that? Like, how much of a leg up do you get by? Yeah, it's like if the Dodgers give him that, he's from California. Even the Giants, I think he's a Bay Area guy as well. What do you have to do? What do you have to prove? Like this Mets team is in insane turbulence right now. We don't even have a pitching coach, so we can't even sell the old Jeremy Hefner dream that we used to this time last year. So it's kind of like you kind of have to make him believe to really push an extension if you want to get that 1 year head start.
That being said, I think coming to New
don't
York,
care, yeah.
Getting the $400 million, I'm sure he'd be like, all right, I believe. I'll believe almost anything for that price. So like,
but this also tests the whole Scott Boras like ethos as an agent. There are no extensions allowed, none at all.
Ever.
Like he signed the Matt Chapman one happened, but that was a weird situation. It was the end of the year, and I think Chapman was probably just like, I love being here so much. I don't want to go anywhere else. We have to get this done immediately. And he got a big fat offer.
I think the only difference here is that whatever the extension Skubal would get, it's going to break the record. Like there's no doubt about it. I think we know no matter what, he's going to be the highest paid pitcher in terms of total value on a contract that we ever see. So I think that's the one difference where like a Pete or even Chapman or Snell, like the other guy, does he have Snell? Is he is Snell a Boris guy? I don't think
so.
he is.
I'll double check.
Who's the other? There's someone else recently that he's had that he kind of held out for, but like those guys were never considered the best at their position actually. So that's where it gets weird with the no extension thing, is because he knows they actually will never break the record in terms of if they sign an extension, where Skubal is going to break it. As soon as he signs a contract, it's going to be the biggest contract ever.
Blake Snell is the Scott Boras client, yeah.
Oh, okay. So then there you go.
And there's a little bit more from Will Sam in this article, because he said, just to provide a general note, one industry source unaffiliated with the club speculated Detroit to look for 2 top-level starting pitchers and a position player prospect. In parlance, that means something like Tong, Sproat, and Jet Williams. The Mets farm system ranks among the league's best, but demand would significantly compromise its health. But this is what you do. This is the time you do this.
This
like,
is the
especially,
time.
and it's kind of funny that we're talking about this because this situation is endemic to all the issues that we might push us to a lockdown 2027.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these owners and general managers is kind of a double-edged sword here where you're going to push chips in because you don't know exactly what's happening in 2027. At the same ilk, a lot of these owners that like to cry poor know that they might seriously lose profits in 2027. So you can get an advantage and you can even sell that to Skubal. Do you want to go into next offseason not knowing anything, not knowing situation, not knowing how the market's going to develop? Here's a record-breaking contract. Like it's funny. There is this idea though of like this is the most divided I've seen the Mets community in a while in a situation like this.
Really? People are divided about this? I will be honest, I've been so disconnected from Mets Twitter world because there's actual baseball going on and I can't deal with the nonsense right now that I've been seeing. Like occasionally the trade things that I see are nuts, but how can anybody be divided on this? This feels like a no-brainer. I guess this is also like the Soto overpaid thing again.
No, it's not. It's the idea that when you trade for him, there's no guaranteed extension. Because I think a lot of people are obsessed with the crochet situation last year. But then
it's
again,
not the same.
There are stark similarities. It's definitely not the same. But also, first of all, it's front of mind. It just happened. Garrett Crochet it's just had a dominant season. But to me, this is much more similar to Corbin Burns. That's where I'm going to keep tying this back to. And
Crochet before he got traded, like last year in 2024, he threw 140 innings. Before that, he had 70 innings at the major league level, none of which were a starter. It is the same, like you said, because it's front of mind, and we know that baseball fans, especially, like whatever just happened, that's the only thing that's true. That's exactly what it was. No context is necessary, but it's also not the same.
I also think that there's a little bit of forgetfulness of how good Corbin Burns was at the time of that trade and how like that felt like an insane moment because the 3 seasons before that trade, Corbin Burns, the 2 seasons at least, 200 innings, 190 innings, 2.9 ERA, 3.3 ERA, 30% strikeout rate. Like it wasn't Skubal's level what he is right now, but he was considered consensus top 5 pitcher in the game.
Yes.
And he went for a package where in that exact moment, people were like, that's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Like in that exact moment, it was like you got 2 major leaguers. That was kind of the trade. You didn't see a ceiling on either of those guys anymore.
No. But again, I think that was also an awareness and maybe like an eye-opening moment for some people that you just don't make that big a trade for guys who are rentals. And I think that every major league front office, every single one, is so risk averse, so much more risk averse than we could ever even imagine. They will never take on something like that where it's kind of like Salmon alluded to. The Mets farm system will go from like a top 5 in the league to like a bottom half of the league. It's the second they make this trade immediately. And I think that losing that kind of security, and when I say security, I'm talking about the fact you have a bunch of cheap free players that you know are going to be solid, at least major league contributors. That will definitely scare some people who are in these front offices. But it's a situation where no, you have to. And I had a few libations on Saturday night. I'm enjoying the old country over here, and I texted you, Mark. I was like, in my heart of hearts right now, I'm like, this is going to happen. I really do. Like the stars are aligning.
For you to say that too is a lot for the people who don't understand that. Cause normally like I'm the pipe dream guy. I'm going to be like, I'm usually one who's like, have a couple drinks and be like, you know what? I believe something crazy is going to happen. James to do that. It's kind of a big deal.
You know what's funny? I don't think this is that crazy of a thing to happen.
No, it's not.
I think the stars are actually perfectly aligned for this because the Tigers, knowing that they're not going to be able to offer a $400 million contract. Not knowing they don't want to offer a $400 million contract. Not that they can't offer it, they don't want to offer it. They know they have to get something for Tarik Skubal. Like it's also, I truthfully, because I posted this on Twitter the other day talking about that Elizabeth Ben trade proposal and how I thought it was a really good one. And I had Tigers fans really angry in my mentions. I was like, this has nothing to do with you guys. I think that you should re-sign him. I think it should be priority number 1 to give this guy the biggest contract of any pitcher of all time. But
100%.
It's sad that it's come to this, and this is the situation that's in. And it's going to be much more sad when you get a very underwhelming return for him.
Yeah, because I hate that Buster Olney was doing this during the postseason, but and we're kind of doing it now, talking about it. But they're out of it at least now, where Tarik Skubal was still playing when the media marvel himself put it out. But
it happened 9 seconds after the game ended.
Yeah, like if you are not going to keep him, which you should, and this is going to be something that we talk about over on the Windup. Make sure you guys subscribe. Link in the description. Like, a lot of people blame the Dodgers for one of the reasons why there's going to be a lockout, but then you look at the Red Sox could have kept Mookie Betts. The Rays could have kept Tyler Glasnow. They chose not to pay him. Like Shohei Ohtani went to the Angels. Here's the contract I want. They said, now we're good. And he went to the Dodgers. there's a lot of people who are at fault. It is not the Dodgers' fault for signing good players. Similarly, it would not be the Mets' fault for being like, oh, the Tigers don't want to pay Tarik Skubal. Yeah, we'll take him. That's not their fault.
And again, it's a shit situation mostly for the Tigers fans and the fans of these teams.
100%. Yeah,
that's the worst part, because like if this trade happens on a cold day of January, and then as a Tigers fan, the last thing that Tarik Skubal did was just give you 7 scoreless in the last game of your season.
Might have pulled them early.
That, and then you put. I mean, 100 pitches. Again, we talked about that. He only went like 3 or 4 times the whole season, 100 pitches. But I'd have a pit in my stomach that I'd never get out. Like if that could be a Joker moment for a Tigers fan. Like you might seriously lose. You might seriously lose your sparkle for baseball, and it's a shame that it's at this point. Even looking at a team like the Brewers, again, now I feel like we're just doing a prep for the next wind-up episode we're about to record. But like,
give them a little snippet.
Again, the Brewers got housed by the Dodgers. There wasn't even, again, all the games were relatively close, but there wasn't a moment where they really felt particularly competitive.
No.
It kind of felt like Dodgers played with their food. You think back, you're like, wow, if this team had Corbin Burns, Willie Adames, and Josh Hader, they'd probably have a better chance to win the series. Like these teams have that, and there's the great graphic that always goes around about teams' payroll as a share of their revenue. Yeah. And it gets aggregated and stolen all the time, but it's originated by Travis Sawchik, and from The Score. He wrote The MVP Machine. Now he's with Driveline, and he called a Scrooge Index for what percentage of a team's payroll, that for their revenue they spend on payroll. Most of the league's under 50%. The Mets lead the league in 90%. The Dodgers in the 70s, but the Dodgers' revenue is like $700 million a year. No other team I think is over 500. And then the bottom, you see the same teams over and over again. You see the White Sox, you see the Marlins, the Orioles are in the middle. You see the Cubs like 5th to last, which is a disgrace. Honestly, yeah. If I was a Cubs fan, I'd be tearing my hair out because of the Ricketts, one of the richest owners in the league, and they cry poor all the time. You have a guy like Tarik Skubal. He should never wear another jersey. No. You should give the guy exactly what he wants because he's earned it. You just went through this if you're the Tigers a decade ago with Max Scherzer. You watched him win Cy Youngs and win a World Series with another team. Did you see the clip going around about when Scherzer and Anibal Sanchez were hugging and crying after the National 2019 World Series win? And Anibal's like, we got one. We finally did it. And Max like, I'm so happy we could do it together. If I was a Tigers fan, that's like literally like, that's a KYS moment. Because like what are you doing? You have a big, beautiful ballpark for the Tigers. It's not a small market. It's not a big market either. You got the money, like do it. And if we have to take advantage of that situation, we have to take advantage of that situation as the Mets. But it's a shit situation for Tigers fans. I want to get across this video. This sucks for them. I feel bad about them doing it, but I don't give a shit about those owners.
For all you parents out there like me with teenagers trying to already keep a million things under control, Cash App is here to help us make sure your teens' money and their spending isn't adding up to craziness.
With the Cash App card available to teens 13 to 17 with sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian, every transaction triggers a real-time notification for you to see, empowering your teen to practice independence while giving you peace of mind by keeping track of their spending. You can also manage everything directly from your own Cash App account without having to switch between the two. With the Cash App card, you and your teen's balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring, and if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock their card right from your phone in just one tap. If you're ready to give your teen more independence while staying in the loop, start by downloading Cash App and setting up their account today. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cashapp.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we had cheap owners for a while too, so I'm sorry to hear it, but now that we're not one of those, I really hope the Mets take advantage of what they used to have.
Yeah, do you want to spend a hot second here maybe thinking about trade proposals from other teams and like just kind of game planning who's going to go where?
Yeah, so I mean, the teams that I would think the Blue Jays are probably going to be in on him too, right? Just because they're a team that's also been trying to spend a lot of money. They're trying to win. I would think the Blue Jays
lacks.
Well,
unless
they
do get Savage. Like they would have to put their McLean up for the deal to make it worthwhile. Like Savage would have to be the feature because of what they lack in their upper minors, right?
Yeah,
the team like the Tigers will want to play it like the Brewers. They're going to want near MLB ready talent because they still want to sell their fans on a wild card berth next year, just because they don't hate their guts.
Yeah, Ricky Tiedemann has been hurt forever now, so it's not going to be.
He's not a prospect, but let's see looking at MLB pipeline 2023.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking out loud because they really have no pitching prospects that are close right now. I won't say they have no pitching prospects, but close they don't have anything.
I see 5 teams like seriously being in on this.
Dodgers,
the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and then I was
Like,
kind of thinking the Giants, but I don't know what they have at the top.
the
of the system
Yankees,
either.
but the Yankees will not be able to put a better package than anybody that's ahead of them.
Could you imagine how the Padres feel right now trading Leo DeVries
Sick to
Mason
their
Miller
stomach. They would have
to
Tarik
not
Skubal
to
in a
not hit
heartbeat.
again in the playoffs, and they would be
Yeah.
able to put him up for Tarik Skubal right now and beat most of the packages other teams are offering?
So
The Red
yeah,
Sox can do it.
Red Sox, yeah, they could do it 100%. That would
Like
be so
if
funny.
you Marcelo Meyer and Peyton Tolle would be like, "Yup,
They would take that in a heartbeat.
that probably beats Jet and Tong."
It's close.
It's similar.
It's close. It's very close.
Yeah.
The Dodgers obviously will have the best package out of anybody. We know that. Although they don't.
Well,
it
they
would be
don't. Actually, I'm actually
if they
not
give
sure if they
Sheehan.
would. I was going to say Sheehan would have to be
Yeah.
Emmett Sheehan would have to be their trump card. That would be the only thing that would bring Nolan McLean from the basement to the room next to where the table is to put him near the table. But I still think if the Tigers ask for McLean, the Mets just hang up the phone. They're like, no, we're not. doing
Yeah,
that.
no, I don't think the Mets would be trading McLean.
We have a top 30
Or-
pitcher for the next 6 years, so we're
God,
okay.
man, these teams have like looking at these teams. It's so hard to find a team that do have a good pitcher and hitter that are close to major league ready in the farm system.
And that's also the joy of where we are right now with the Mets, where we haven't been able to go into one of these situations and say we could have the best package. What?
Phillies.
Yeah, Miller and Painter. Oh, that
Yeah.
would suck my soul out.
Miller and Painter or Justin Crawford, and that's so Dave Dombrowski. Oh, sick to my stomach thinking about that. Wheeler's
Also,
out for the year. They don't care about the extension. Dave Dombrowski's trying to win the World Series with these guys one more time. Oh, God. I see it. Fuck.
I still think they've been hesitant to put Painter into any deal, and I think even Dave Dombrowski, like we talked before, he's the least risk averse. I think top executive in baseball. I still think that would scare the shit out of him to put those.
Think
But
so?
also, I think
He's going to be gone if they don't win something next year, surely, I think.
Maybe. I mean, he hasn't made him available before. The Yankees definitely don't have anywhere close to this kind of prospect capital, but I do think that a team like the Tigers, and this is the thing you hate when we always talk about these trades and this prospect stuff, a guy like George Lombard being available, which we don't even know if the Yankees would do that, but like a lockdown defensive shortstop, major league teams value the shit out of that.
I know.
As much as you hate
it
that
so much.
He would be.
I will say, I'm on the right
side.
side of history with that, too, because I fucking hated Joey Ortiz. Like, oh, defensive shortstop. I'm like, wow, cool, guys. They grow on trees. You can get them anywhere.
But that's still what I mean. Again, maybe they're not going to do that. There's nothing really we can look at from Scott Harris's history because the Astros never really sold anything when he was there, so it's hard
True.
to see what he would like, what he would seek out.
There's also a world where just knowing you're not going to extend him, that a team with a deep farm system might be interested and be like, this is our chance. Let's take a shot. 1 year we got Tarik Skubal.
Who is that though? The Reds, Cincinnati Reds.
I mean, why not, right? Do they have a
don't know.
pitcher? I mean, it'd be like Rhett Lauder and
Stinks.
Rhett Lauder and like Sal Stewart, maybe.
Maybe I actually don't think that's enough at all.
Okay. I'm just trying.
Chase Burns 1 for 1, but I don't think they would do that.
I don't think they would do that. Yeah, I actually think that'd be dumb for them because they're knowing they're not going to resign. You know who would have a sick package for Tarik Skubal? The Tigers.
You know, actually, what too? The Pittsburgh Pirates. Put them together.
Pirates would
on
have
top.
an awesome package. They would
The
be.
Pirates could build one up.
That would actually be so cool if they did that. That'd be sick.
There's a fun thought exercise now. I'm happy we're going down this road. Imagine the Rays. Imagine the Rays were like, 1 year of Tarik Skubal. That would be sick. That would be a ton of fun.
Do the rate is Jack Leiter interesting? Leiter and Walcott.
Yeah, I think Leiter proved himself a lot this year. I think there's probably not ace level ceiling with that command, but the way he just 6-pitched his way out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Do the Mariners take a look? Mariners have guys.
The Mariners actually are a great one there, but by the time you
Seattle
guys listen
guy.
to this, we'll know if the Mariners are going to Game 7 or going to the World Series. I'd be scared a little bit for this offseason if I was a Mariners fan. So
Why?
I think you're dreaming of like, wow, we did it, we're over here, but like with no Suarez, no Naylor likely next year.
Fair.
I would definitely be a little bit scared about how DePoto and those owners handle this.
If only the Orioles had a starting pitcher, they could just do Corbin Burns again.
I mean, again, with Salmon saying right now, I'm sure a team can still offer position players and make this likely.
Yeah,
But
of course.
I think that it's a fun thing. This happens in dynasty leagues. You guys play in dynasty baseball leagues as well, where no one wants pitching because everyone's so scared of paying top dollar to acquire pitching. Once you get in season and you realize no one has enough pitching, you want pitching badly, and now pitching costs more than anything else in the world. So I think the real life teams go through this. It's a silly thought exercise, but I think it's worth it right now. On Fangraphs, if you go to the board, their prospect list, you can filter just for teams. You could add any teams you want. And if you add for teams, the Mets have the 3 best starting pitcher prospects of the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and I have one more team in here. The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox. No, that's it.
I'm just going to, this will be my last
Giants.
convo about like teams that should. The A's. If Fisher ever wanted to spend money, this is the guy. You're going to get to Vegas after the lockout for a little bit. You'll be in Vegas soon-ish.
Maybe.
They've got some good prospects, especially on the pitching side. They're not going to do it, but that would be fun. And he was a NorCal kid, Tarik Skubal. Yeah, so maybe he wants to play for him.
There is something funny about, again, because knowing that this trade package won't be extreme. I hope that's the one thing we're getting across to you guys in this episode. That the trade package will likely be very underwhelming on the graphic.
Or we come back and it's going to be insane. We're like, all right. I mean, I guess we were wrong on that one. Yeah,
we've been wrong. We've been wrong before. We'll be wrong again. But I still just can't see these front offices going crazy for a guy on a 1-year deal. Like if it was 2 years, Tarik Skubal, I think that would exponentially change this discussion. But it's not, and maybe that does get some of these teams involved who are like just 1 year of it. Because I think looking back, that's what the Orioles did with Corbin Burns.
Yes.
The Orioles were able to keep all of their blue chip high end prospects, and they got a 1 year run with Corbin Burns.
It didn't work out, but it was a worth it shot.
Best year they had in the last 5 years.
Yeah, you're never going to look back at an Orioles fan and be like, man, shouldn't have given up DL Hall and Joey Ortiz.
And again, not every prospect that you trade for busts like DL Hall and Joey Ortiz, but at this time, the most important thing is always winning baseball games the next season in front of you. That has added weight because we don't know about the season after that. And there were a lot of Mets fans, again, talking about the split. I was just in my Twitter replies, so not like a substantial sample, but people like, I don't even want to give up any prospect. Let's just sign him next year. It's like, no, you want him to play for your team now. Yeah. I want Tarik Skubal. That's why we play baseball.
And it's easier to keep those guys here when you have them. And we get the qualifying offer attached to them too, God forbid.
Just in case. You just get a pick off it. It's always fun to have those little things. The way that this story has grown in the last 24 hours of time we're recording this, it really feels like there's a ton of steam.
It feels like this is going to be a trade that happens before Thanksgiving.
Like this feels like a winter meetings possibility. And if this meetings? I think maybe first week of December, the week before Thanksgiving, something like that.
Yeah, I think it is first week of December. Yeah, it's going to be, if he gets moved, it feels like it's going to be early in the offseason.
And again, what we're saying with this is that if he is actually available, which all reports indicate they are, and we already have the indication the Mets are linked, we can put up basically the best combination of pitchers and position players, which is sick that we have the ability to do that.
It's cool, and I hope we do. I really hope we see Tarik Skubal on the Mets. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that's enough, though, of this conversation for now as we hear... Oh,
I want to add one more thing. Again, just to cover more things in the Mets world, we did get a report, I think it was Wednesday, so like a few days ago listening to this, the Antoine Richardson, not officially back.
Yes, okay, yes.
Need to agree to a contract. Just want to say, officially...
Get your money.
The claim of the Mets'd Up podcast, do whatever you can to keep Antoine Richardson in the building.
And Antoine Richardson,
savant.
Get your bag because you're the man. Best first base coach in the game. All right, now that's it for the conversation. We'll talk more as we hear more with you guys, as we always do. Appreciate you listening and watching. Make sure you're subscribed to Mets'd Up over on YouTube. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Draftnik Mark with a C. We will catch you guys all in the next episode. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.